Hey guys, this is Sit Down at Renegade Fort Polk in Leesville, Louisiana, and today for my first coil tutorial I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a Clapton coil. The only tools you're going to need for this build are your cutters, some needle nose pliers, a drill, and if you have one, a swivel. And if you don't know what a swivel is, we'll show you here a little bit later on as we get into the actual build. For this build today, all I'm going to be using is some 24 gauge Kanthal for the core, and then some 28 gauge Kanthal to wrap. Now, before you get into building your coil, you're going to want to remember your prep work. Your prep work is the most important part of this entire coil, because if your prep work isn't correct, then your coil is going to overlap on itself and it's not going to come out right. That'll lead to hot spots, uneven wraps, and just an overall bad experience. So what I mean by prep work is you're going to want to get your 24 gauge Kanthal and make sure it's completely straight. And if you've never straightened wire, the way you're going to go about straightening your wire is you're going to make a little bit of an L here at the end, and you're going to put it in to the chuck of your drill. Now, once it's in the chuck of your drill, you're going to use your needle nose pliers to grab onto the end, and you're going to use it to keep tension. Now, once you have the tension, what you're going to want to do is you're going to spin your drill for 5 to 10 seconds while maintaining the tension on your wire, and it'll straighten it out for you. Now, once you have the L at the tip of your 24 gauge Kanthal and it's completely straight, what you're going to want to do is you're going to get your 28 gauge Kanthal that we have here, and you're going to wrap it around that L. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow them to both go into the chuck of your drill. So as you're doing your Clapton, you won't have to worry about your wire going crazy on you. So let me do that real quick, and then I'll give you a bird's eye view of what it looks like. Alright, so as you see, it doesn't have to be wrapped a whole lot, just enough to be able to get into the chuck of your drill. So we'll go ahead and do that now. You're going to want to put it right here where it's flat, and then go ahead and screw it all the way down. Now we'll go ahead and attach the wire to our swivel. Alright guys, so this is the swivel we were talking about a little bit earlier on in the video. And what this does is it keeps tension on your wire for you, so while you're trying to do your Clapton, you don't have to worry about the wire moving around, and you still have a free hand to control your wire that you're wrapping around your core with. And all you have to do is make a slight bend on the end of your wire like we've done here to put over the side of your swivel. The way that you're going to keep tension on it, you're going to pull your drill with both wires attached slightly away, not too hard because you don't want to pull it completely out of the chuck, but hard enough that it still keeps constant tension. Alright guys, so now that you've got all your prep work now, what you're going to want to go ahead and do is go ahead and get your Clapton started. So what you're going to want is to hold it just slightly forward of 45 degrees, because if you go any back, it's going to double back on itself. So you're going to give your drill a few small pulses, and it's okay if it separates in the beginning, to go ahead and get it started. So you're going to hold it just forward of 45 degrees, and you're going to slowly ease into it until you start to gain your form. Now, if it goes ahead and you feel comfortable to speed up, you can go ahead and speed up. So I'm going to go ahead and finish out this Clapton real quick for you guys and let you take a look. Alright, now as you guys can see, we have a very nice, consistent Clapton all the way through. Even spacing, even wraps, all the way down. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and cut it off at the beginning of our chuck here, right after our starting point. And then we're going to go ahead and disconnect it from our swivel and come to the ending piece of your Clapton, which should be right around halfway down your wire depending, and you'll have an ending point. When you get to the end, you'll want to make sure to let it overwrap some, because if not, when you cut it and you actually start to build your coil without an ending point for it to crimp itself off, it can actually start to unwind as you're doing your coil. Alright guys, so now that you have your Clapton made, let's go ahead and wrap it and make some coils. I do 6 wraps with mine. You can do a little bit less or a little bit more depending on how high or low you want your ohms to be, but I found 6 wraps with this coil is a pretty nice sweet spot. All right, there's one. And 2. So let's go ahead and throw our coil into our RDA and see what we're ohming out at. Alright guys, so I went ahead and thrown it on and it ohms out at just above a 0.3 for 1. So if you were to go ahead and do 2 coils in a parallel, you'd be right in that 1.4, 1.5 range, which is a really nice sweet spot. And it ramps up very nicely. We're only at 130 watts, so just imagine the possibilities with this build. Thank you all for joining me today in this coil building tutorial. Happy Clapton building. If y'all happen to have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the drop box below. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page at Renegade Vapes Fort Polk and our Instagram page, Renegade Vapes. Happy coil building, guys, and remember, stay vaping.